Welcome back for another video. I'm Erbad, a free-to-play endgame player in Raid Shadow Legends. In this video we'll be continuing our Budget Faction Wars series. Today it's Banner Lord's turn. Naturally we will be doing stage 21. I actually recorded this video last week but rather masterfully muted my audio seconds into the recording. Since my approach in these videos is to talk you through my actions, I decided to re-record it rather than do a voiceover. The key champion for this clear will be Archmage Helmet. His stuns will ensure we stay relatively safe throughout the fight. For those few attacks that do evade his CC, Stag Knight will be there, decreasing attack and reducing the damage we take. Furthermore, Stag Knight's AoE decreased defense will help us deal more damage, and we're going to need that help as we have very little damage in this composition. Other fantastic epics in this faction are Ursula, who also has an AoE decreased attack, plus strengthen and revives, Gizcard, with an AoE provoke, increased attack and increased defense, and Oathbound, a very underappreciated crowd control champion. When I first cleared this faction, I didn't have Archmage, as it was before Doom Tower was released. Instead, I cleared with Stag Knight as my sole 60, a level 50 Mania, Oathbound, Chevalier, and a level 40 Valerie, who will once again be making a reappearance for today's clear. Right, let's get into this run and see how it pans out. Right, the key here, obviously decrease attack and defense with Stag Knight, but the key for us is going to be using Archmage's A2. If we crit on the A2, we have a second hit will have a 50% chance of placing a stun debuff on all other enemies. So the important thing here is we don't want a weak hit on the first hit, as it has to be a crit to get the stun away. So we'll pick someone that's either neutral or strong affinity. For Valerie, I'll just increase defense. I will attempt to get a single target stun off with Chevalier, and with Oathbound I will block cooldown skills on Broadmoor. And then here we'll just look for anyone who isn't controlled and use the A1 with Evil Eye on Stag Knight to decrease their turn meter. Just work our way through, let Stag Knight deal the majority of the damage. Get the decreased attack, decreased defense out again go for a stun. Broadmoor's already controlled via block cooldown skills, so I'll use him as my target, get some damage on him. Should clear this wave relatively quickly, increase our speed and damage through Archmage's A3. We also have a good chance to freeze on the A2 from Oathbound, which is a nice ability to have. And then we can use this second life from Torture Helm to make sure we get all of our abilities back for the second wave. Just keep on A1ing. And then once we're through to the second wave, we will once again decrease defense and attack from Stag Knight. Here we will lay our Archmage Helmet stun on Norog, who cannot be stunned anyway. So we have maximum chance to stun everyone else. We will go for our single target stun on Maneater, as I don't want him getting the unkillable. We will block cooldown skills on Norog if we can get it off. We could not. Increase our speed. Extend debuffs. On, get a bit of a heal off. So the main reason we didn't get that block cooldown skills on Norog is we didn't have decreased attack on him. Without decreased attack, Oathbound's block cooldown skills is quite inconsistent. But if you have decreased attack on your enemy, it's 100%. Which is why pairing him with a decrease attack champion, such as Stag Knight or Asala, is extremely effective. So again here we're just going to keep working the fight, managing it, getting all the crowd control we need. Also being cognizant that we want to save our abilities for the next wave, for the boss fight. And from here I will now look to cycle back, so I'll just A1 until we're through onto the boss. So the critical thing on the boss, obviously decrease attack from Stag Knight, is we will target the boss with the A2 to get stuns on both side ads. The most important thing for us is to get the stun on the right side ad. As long as we have that stun on the right side ad, we should be safe to win this fight. The boss and the left side ad do not do that much damage. So with both side ads controlled, we're safe to put some damage into the main boss. I will save my stun for when we need it. Chevalier also has a good chance stun on a single target, which we will attempt to get out on the right ad this time. Decrease turn meter. Once again save our Archmage ability in case we need it. And you can see we're relatively comfortable. As long as that right ad remains crowd controlled, we should be fairly safe. Once again out of crowd control now, so we'll be looking to get the stuns away. Once again is stunned. So we're again in a good position to continue damaging the boss. Get our heal off from Valerie. Keep focusing on the boss. These are only regular fears, not true fears. We don't have to have any fears, get it, of losing our abilities. And we'll just keep on cycling our abilities. The reality is, I could actually click auto and just target the boss, and would be pretty confident of getting the clear. But I feel it's better in this instance to at least show you guys when manualing, when to hold back your abilities, when to preserve them, to ensure the highest probability of having a successful clear, as we don't need to auto, at least not on a first clear. Yeah, for CBC, if you're farming, you want to be in a position where you can auto it, but before that, when you're just doing faction wars to get Lydia unlocked, in reality you want to be doing most of them manual, as you got the highest chance of actually successfully clearing, and you'll get Lydia sooner. And at the end of the day, that's all we're here for, is to get Lydia as quickly as possible. I've got the stun again on the right ad, and we're only a couple of turns away from getting this boss killed. And there we go, 9 minutes. Not too bad. Given that it was full manual, I think that's an acceptable length of time to take. If we now go through to the champions we used and we have a quick look at the builds, they really are nothing special. If we look at Archmage Helmet, my targets here, 100% crit rate is an absolute mandatory. It's the only way you're going to get the stuns away on the A2, and the A2 is really the ability that has won us this faction war clear. Good speed, obviously, is highly valuable to allow Archmage to cycle more quickly, to keep the crowd control up at all times, to keep stunning the enemy. Enough accuracy to land the debuffs. Really, you only need around 225 for stage 21 on Faction Wars, so this is complete overkill. And then beyond that, enough health to not necessarily be targeted, a bit of attack to do some damage. I mean, really, the rest of the stats don't matter, as long as you're hitting 100% crit, good speed, and enough accuracy. On Stag Knight, similar again, we're looking for good speed, good accuracy, so really, again, this is overkill. Anything above 200 speed is good. Ideally, you want Stag Knight to be the fastest in your composition. And on the accuracy side, around 225. If you can then add a bit of damage into the build, given that he is our main damage dealer in this composition, we don't really have a designated damage dealer. Stag Knight is doing most of the heavy lifting. If we go over to Oathbound, an incredibly poor build, if I'm honest. Atrociously slow at 164. Again, I'd much prefer this speed to be quicker, around sort of 190 to 200 areas, what I tend to go for on the majority of my champions. Enough accuracy to land the debuffs, some defensive stats. I tried to add a bit of damage into Oathbound's build. I have put Oathbound in a stun set, again, just to add a bit more control to the overall run. We have multi-hits on, we have an AoE on the A2, and we have a multi-hit 4-time random on the A3, so we've got a good amount of chances to get some stuns away, plus that 50% chance of freeze on the A1. So there's a lot of potential to get crowd control out from Oathbound. And bear in mind that I originally built this team before I had Archmage, so I was more reliant on Oathbound in the stun set to get the crowd control away. Then we have Chevalier. Really, the stats aren't too important, around 200 speed, a bit of defensive stats, and enough accuracy to be landing that stun on the A2. Again, when I ran this without Archmage, I was quite reliant on that A2 as an additional form of crowd control. And then with Valerie, I've just tried to get enough HP that she can survive a few of the AoE hits that we do take, speed close to the 200 mark again, and that's it. She isn't landing any debuffs, so accuracy is irrelevant. You're only really looking for a bit of health, a bit of survivability, and a decent speed. In terms of the skills, Valerie is effectively not booked. Chevalier is booked. Oathbound is booked. Stag Knight is booked. And Archmage is booked where it counts on the A2 and the A3. The A1 doesn't really matter. If we look at masteries, Archmage hasn't got any. Stag Knight does have his masteries. I've used Stag Knight a lot in my account early to mid game. Oathbound has no masteries. Chevalier has no masteries. And unsurprisingly, the level 40 Valerie also has no masteries. Right, so I think I've given you another good example here on Banner Lords where you don't need to max all the champions. You don't even need to have all the champions built brilliantly well. They need to be solid builds. They need to be balanced. So you need to have the right level of survivability, a good speed, accuracy to be landing your debuffs, and at least one champion in the composition who can put a bit of damage out there. But they don't need to be great builds. They don't need to be fully mastered. They don't need to be 6-star 60. You can cut a lot of corners in terms of the resources you're ploughing into your faction war clears, as long as you've got good team synergy and good team composition. That counts for a lot more than just having more 60s. So thanks for watching. I hope this has been useful for you. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Any feedback is always welcome. And good luck clearing this faction and any other faction that you can use these same principles and apply to that. I will be releasing more videos on this budget faction war series. And catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.